You're listening to Middle-Age Movie Reviews.
Hello, welcome to Middle-Age Movies Podcast. Four guys saying, do not turn off the podcast. Any man that turns off the podcast spends a night in the box. Do not forget to like this podcast. Any man that forgets to like this podcast spends a night in the box. Do not forget to subscribe to this podcast. Any man that forgets to subscribe to this podcast spends a night in the box. You got questions? You email them to manreviewspodcast@gmail.com. I'm Tim the Floor Walker, and my podcasting partner in crime is...
Boss Matt.
All right. And joining us tonight, a man who oddly likes to spend a night in the box. From the Couch Critics Podcast, it's Josh. Say hello, Josh.
Hello, Josh. Hello. How is everybody doing? I do like to spend the night in the box. I've been married for 25 years. You get stuck in the box a lot.
It's a big box.
It is a big box.
Right you are, sir. Right you are. All right. Also joining us tonight, a man who walked into the studio like his pockets were oddly full of change. From the Couch Critics Podcast as well, it's Dave. Say hello, Dave.
Hey, everybody. How's it going? Thanks for having me here. They're full of change because I robbed a bunch of parking meters.
That's exactly what we were getting to. You've confessed to the crime. Now you're going to have to do the time, sir.
There you go.
All right. Well, tonight we are watching the 1967 movie Cool Hand Luke, number 453 from the book of 1001 Movies You Should Watch Before You Die, written by Donna Pierce and Frank Pearson, directed by Stuart Rosenberg, and starring Paul Newman, George Kennedy, and Strutter Martin.
All right. Well, Dave, since you're new with us tonight, I don't want to have any failure to communicate. So when was the first time you saw this motion picture, Cool Hand Luke?
Oh, I thought we were doing Cool World. My bad. What movie were we watching?
You know, Hollywood if she could, but she can't tonight, sir. So get with the program.
I thought of that joke earlier. I shouldn't have. But I saw, I don't know, probably 15, 20 years ago. It's somewhere in my 20s, I think. You know, as my cinephile juices started going. But I've seen it so many times now, including recently for this show. Love the movie.
Awesome. Well, Tim, how about you? Is this a Paul Newman classic in your wheelhouse, or is this a first-time watch?
You know, man, I have been on a roll lately. This is yet another movie that I thought I'd watched, and I didn't. I was completely familiar with the food competition portion of the film that we'll talk about later. And so I was like, yeah, I've seen this film. And I think the other part that made me think I had seen it before was the famous speech that the old captain's going to give us later. And I realized that, no, I just heard that on the Guns N' Roses Civil War song.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I put aspects of this film together over the years and just thought I watched the whole thing. I have not. So this is my first viewing.
Okay. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how about you, Josh? I'm assuming that this is a movie that you've seen many times before, but when was the first time you saw it?
So this movie has a weird place in my heart. I was 9 or 10 years old. My parents were going on a date, and the babysitter had rented this because she wanted to watch it. And she turned it on, and she made me promise that I wouldn't tell my parents that she let me watch this at 9 or 10 years old.
That's a good babysitter.
Yeah.
I don't really know why, because it's not the most graphic thing, but I will tell you, it was my little guilty secret thing that I got. And it was between me and the babysitter, and I had this. So it's been a part of my life for a very long time, almost 40 years, 38 years or something. But I've seen it many times over the years. Most recently, I actually watched it 2 days ago, and then again today, just because why not? Since we're doing this movie, I had to be fresh and ready.
Typically, secrets with babysitters is not a good thing.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
I'm glad this one is a good thing.
You know, I was willing to kind of gloss that over.
It was a girl, and she was in high school, and I was 10, so it was all good.
So you say, so you say.
I mean, when he started going along the path of My Little Secret, I was like, well, there is a car washing scene, so we may be going into a really bad place here.
Right.
We will talk about that for sure.
My hope is that your teenage babysitter just liked Paul Newman and George Kennedy.
That's my assumption too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She was just way into sweaty dudes.
Yeah.
And tans. And road work. She really likes road work.
Loves tarring roads.
Yeah.
Maybe she wanted to become a civil engineer. Who knows?
There you
I
go.
don't
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Well, gentlemen, like Tim, I thought this was a movie I'd seen once before, but oddly enough, no. The only thing that I really remember seeing from this movie is the opening sequence where we see the evil beheading of park meters.
Yeah.
And, of course, the tarring scene in the road. I've never actually sat down and watched this entire movie all the way through. So this was a first-timer for me.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
By all means, go ahead.
I promise I won't do it the whole time. They filmed in Lodi, California, and that's like 30 miles from where I live. But they still have the headless parking meters there on that same street.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Did he legitimately cut real parking meters off for the film? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the film had him cut it. They just never replaced them.
Oh.
So I imagine they got a $20,000 permit, and they just said, why do we even need parking meters?
Gotcha.
Lodi's a pretty small town.
Yes.
Yeah, but you can still go there, and the people will tell you that's where they filmed, and those are the meters.
Oh, wow.
There's not like a little placard there like they have for Bill Murray where he stepped in the puddle. This is where Paul Newman cut down meters.
Not that I know of, but that's just the lore I've heard from people.
Gotcha.
I want to see a bronze statue of Paul Newman sitting there drunk off his ass with a bottle of beer in his hand and a little plaque that says this is where they shot the scene. That would be awesome.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That would be brilliant. I mean, how cool would that be? It's not a plaque. We got a bronzed Paul Newman drunk sitting in front of these things.
Exactly.
People would flock for miles to be like the world's largest ball of yarn or whatever.
Just him and a bunch of plumbing tools that you can use to cut pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could even make it a thing where they install new parking meters, like you could pay to cut one off. Like, be Paul Newman, cut a meter off,
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Kids are into the experience these days. Let's make an experience.
You should tell the mayor of Lodi. You might be into that.
There you go. And hey, you know what? It would give the kids an opportunity to understand what a real parking meter used to look like.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have been to any big cities, but parking meters now are just a digital kiosk that you actually get to like punch the number that you're in, and then you can't even use cash anymore.
It's all through an app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's an app.
Yeah, I'm San Francisco. I'm going to San Francisco tomorrow for a project, and you have to have like 3 different apps out there to park anywhere. Giant pain.
Okay, Tim. Well, as our resident captain, what are you going to request for the synopsis tonight?
Well, sir, it's interesting that you actually say captain, because that is exactly how you're going to do it this evening. I would like you to read the synopsis as the captain as he addresses the prisoners in his Florida road camp.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to be very interested to see how you manage to take a Southern accent and turn it Irish along the way. I can't wait to see how this happens. It's very exciting.
All right, here we go. What we got here is failure to communicate. You see, we got ourselves a prisoner here that's a true original. Our Mr. Lucas Jackson, who found his way to our little camp by way of cutting the tops off of parking meters. I originally thought it would be counter to a man who was awarded so many medals during the war, but I guess unsurprising considering he made it to sergeant only to leave as a private. Now I have watched old Luke here strut around this camp with mocking disregard for both you prisoners and my guards alike. I allowed his comments and acts of defiance go unchecked, and now I see that I was wrong in this action. I once told all of you that I can be a good guy or I can be one mean sumbitch, and it appears that Luke had to go and test my resolve by running away not once, but twice. It has reinforced my notion that some men you just can't reach. So you get what we had here last week, which is the way he wants it. Well, he gets it. I don't like it any more than you men. Now, Luke, you run one time, you got yourself a set of chains. You run twice, you got yourself 2 sets. You ain't gonna need no 3rd set because you're gonna get your mind right. Because next time we will just kill you. So you decide. You can have it the easy way or you can have it the hard way, boy. It's all up to you.
Good job. Nice work.
I love it.
Well, Matt, now that we've seen you make your way through as the captain, I imagine it's time that we go check out the actual trailer and see how you fare against it. which is the way we want it. So you better make sure we gets it.
All right.
Fella. I just cut some meat thing. You better come along with us.
You're gonna get used to wearing them chains after a while, Luke. Don't you never stop listening to them clinking. 'Cause they're gonna remind you of what I've been saying.
Wish you'd stop being so good to me, Captain.
Don't you ever talk that way to me. Never! Never! What we've got here is failure to communicate. What we've got here is failure to communicate. We've got here.
What we got here
Failure to communicate.
is a failure to communicate.
Get yourself a sweetener doll, dressed in rhinestones, setting on pedestal of abalone shell. Going 90, I ain't scary, 'cause I got the Virgin Mary assuring me that I won't go to hell.
And that, gentleman, is the trailer.
Looks like a good movie. We should watch it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, man. I'm a little torn between, what you did and what the trailer did. They really seem to want to emphasize that what we have here is failure to communicate line.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sir, I think you pulled it off saying it just one time. I think you won.
All right. All right. I got to say, though, I do like how the trailer ended on the car washing sequence.
Right. The infamous car washing scene.
Yes.
Well, if all else fails.
Right.
Right.
Sell the sex.
So Don Pierce, right, the guy who wrote the book, he didn't like that line anyways, and it's not in the book. And so I wonder if he saw the trailer, how that must have tweaked him. They say it a lot.
I don't know how you can't like that line, though. I mean, really, it's a great line. It
Right.
really is.
It's a good line for what the movie is, for sure.
That whole speech is just really, really good.
Yeah.
And then, I'm wondering, okay, so this is definitely a line that has made its way into pop culture thanks to not only the movie, but also, Guns N' Roses.
Yes.
So my question is this popular because of Guns N' Roses, or is it because of the movie? Or did it just kind of equally become as popular?
I think it's a good line.
Yeah.
I think it's a really solid line that sticks with people, and it fits into so many different occasions. You know what I mean? It's the say hello to my little friend kind of a line.
Yeah.
You can apply it in so many different ways. That's my thoughts on it.
Guns N' Roses just brought it to another generation, I think.
Right.
They just extended its life.
Yeah. Let's figure out where this comes from.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's from a movie.
Yeah.
But what movie is it from?
Right.
It's kind of like all that stuff that Rob Zombie likes to drop in his from the horror films. You're like, oh, what horror film is that from? Because that sounds kind of interesting. Let's go check that out,
Right.
For sure.
And then you find out it's from the Munsters. So it's like, oh, all right.
Love the Monsters.
And then you're sorry you watched it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and then dive into this wonderful classic Paul Newman film. decorated World War II veteran Luke Jackson drunkenly beheads several parking meters. He is sentenced to 2 years on a chain gang in a prison camp run by the captain, a stern warden, and walking boss Godfrey, a quiet rifleman nicknamed the Man with No Eyes because he always wears mirrored sunglasses. There, even minor violations are punished by a night in the box, a small wooden booth in the prison yard with limited air and space. So right off the bat, gentlemen, we see Paul Newman.
Handsome Paul Newman.
Okay, yes.
But I'm a straight guy. But my wife and I watched it, and the first thing she goes, God, he's good looking. I'm like, yeah, I know. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes. He was a good-looking gentleman back in the 60s.
Yes.
Every man wanted to be him, and every girl wanted to be with him.
For sure.
I just like his salad dressing.
Personally, I like his salsa, because where else can you see Paul Newman with a little Mexican mustache and a sombrero?
Good point. Yeah, good point.
But yeah, we see him being drunken, disorderly, and destroying municipal property by beheading. The name fell out of my head.
Parking meters.
Parking meters. Yes.
I know you're old, and those are a really old-fashioned way for people to get money, but still.
Yeah.
With actual change.
Yeah, you had to carry real change in your pocket.
Well, I thought it was neat. Like, how heavy are those parking meters? And also, you're walking around with a pipe cutter. That itself is pretty heavy.
That's a big pipe cutter. I'm in construction. Yeah. That's a large pipe cutter, too.
Yeah. You don't just have one of those hanging out at your house most of the time. But I'll tell you, Matt, they are heavy. Because I actually found in our town that we used to have parking meters, somebody did it. They did the Paul Newman crime. They cut that thing off. There was a creek down the street from me. I used to go look for crawdads and stuff in. And sure enough, we come up, and there's the parking meter sitting down in the creek bed with smashed up with all the chains missing. So I was like, oh, this is really cool. Oh, crap, my fingerprints are all over it. I'm going to jail! Freaks me out. They're a bit weighty. They're all, super heavy pot metal and stuff.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, I mean, as Dave pointed out, the pipe cutter's big. It's a big, big pipe cutter.
So here's my thought, because I had the same thought. I figured that he was drunk and stumbled across a construction site somewhere and grabbed a tool from there, and that's what the impetus was.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't read the book. I don't know if that's a part of the book, but in my head, that's what happened. It was just a drunken thing he was doing.
I just like that there is absolutely no reason to it.
Yeah.
He was there. I was drunk. I did it. That's it.
Wanton vandalism.
Yeah, but I'm going to say, I've drank a lot of alcohol in my life. I know Matthew's drank a lot of alcohol in his life. I'm going to assume you guys probably have too. I may be drinking alcohol right now, and I've never been so drunk where I'm like, I think I'm going to go cut parking meters off for fun.
No, but I have stolen from construction sites.
Yeah, me too. I think it'd be hard to do if you're really that drunk too.
Yeah, you got to dial that thing down. You got to twist it, dial it down a little more and twist it.
Yeah, exactly. Stay in the same groove and just keep cutting more and more.
Yeah.
Walk a straight line.
And then I kept watching that going, dude, you got him off. Go run him somewhere. Don't just stand there and just keep dropping him. And it's just the crime made no sense, Yeah. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Well, part of me got wondered, is he doing this just because he's just bored with life and he's looking for something to do? Or does he want to get arrested or something?
Yeah, I think my head goes to he saw some shit in war. He saw some things in the war. He doesn't know how to deal with it because this is 1967. There is no mental health. He doesn't know how to deal with it. So he just does something.
I think this is actually supposed to be in the 1950s, though. The film is 67, but I think he's actually in the 50s.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, Josh. I think it's because he's seen some stuff in war. It's messed him up, and now he's just kind of like, it's at Lisa Simpson's line. What are you rebelling against? What do you got? I think he's just kind of at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Anti-establishment, no matter what it is.
100%.
I think it's exactly right. He says later in the movie that, he killed people and everything else. So he's probably dealing with a lot of those issues and everything else.
Yeah.
But the original material, I think it was 1947, right? Wasn't that when it's set?
I believe so, yeah.
He would have seen some stuff in World War II.
Yeah, because, the captain even mentions World War II.
Yeah.
I think he probably felt like he was doing his job. He kills people, feels guilt, all those kind of things. And then, everybody kind of turns their back on him. And now he's aimlessly wandering around without a purpose.
Right.
And so I think that he's pissed off. The whole movie is about anti-establishment, right?
Yes.
Isn't that the entire movie is you're not going to control me, take down the government, all that kind of stuff?
Well, I think he's just super numb too.
Yeah.
He's just a guy who just doesn't care about nothing, doesn't care about who he back talks or what kind of comments he makes.
Right.
Some guy wants to fight me. Yeah, that's fine. But I won't stop. They'll have to kill me.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's what the whole movie's about. It's just, I'm just going to keep pushing myself until somebody finally puts me out of my misery.
I can see that.
There's hints at that thought too, because I mean, there are scenes where he's questioning God.
Just show me something, good, bad, or otherwise. Just show me something.
Yeah. Whether it's because he's suffering from PTSD or if he's just numb to life, it definitely makes you think about his character in this movie.
Crying out for purpose.
Exactly. And, you know, the other thing that I thought was kind of neat, we get the establishment of it. As he's drinking his beer, he's got his bottle cap opener around his neck on a chain that's like the dog tags.
Yeah.
So he always has it on hand.
It's almost a little Leaving Las Vegas. Like, I just got to have my opener so I can just keep drinking and stay numb all the time kind of thing.
Yeah, just keep going.
Yeah.
I think another thing I want to kind of mention, I like how this movie just opens right up.
Yeah.
We are dropped right into the story. The backstory develops as we go through the film. But I just like the fact that right off the bat, we're into like, not really an action scene, but it's at least establishing the character right off the bat. And we're not having to wait around for some kind of storyline. It just moves.
All right.
It's 2 hours and 6 minutes long, but it doesn't feel that.
It absolutely doesn't. Yeah.
And I like how we go immediately from that scene. We don't get a court sequence. We don't get a whole lot of explanation. And then we're just dropped right into the chain gang. So, Josh, since this is like one of your favorite movies, what do you think of just the way this movie moves and the introduction of Paul Newman to the chain gang?
I think that you're right. That at 2 hours and 6 minutes or whatever, it doesn't feel that long. It plays like a much faster movie. And all of the expositional dialogue, everything that tells us the story is in a point that makes sense. You mentioned that it just drops us straight into him doing something. We don't need to know why. We just know he's doing something illegal. He's drinking, he's damaging things, and then he's dropped into that chain gang. And we immediately know the rules of the chain gang because he has to learn those rules. And it makes sense that he has to learn those rules. So now we know the rules of what's going to happen. And it also foreshadows everything. We know that he's going to break the rules and end up in the box. And he's going to do this and end up in the box. You know that Saturday there's going to be a fight because that comes up on Saturdays. Like they mention all of these things in a very organic sort of way. And I think today in movies now, we spend so much time, Marvel is and DC are very guilty of it, is everything needs an origin story now. Mm-hmm. This doesn't need an origin story. Trust us to be smart enough to be able to hang out and figure it out as we go.
Yeah, we just had a discussion about what his motivation for the beginning of this movie is. And I think that's a better way to tell a story is to leave it open to a little bit of interpretation.
Yes.
I think we're all right. I think all of us were on the right track. And I think that's what you kind of glean from what we see in it.
For sure.
Well, I think the magic of it is it's not, do we develop the character and figure out why he's rebelling? We don't really get that. It's not about that at all. It's just that this is where this guy's at this point in his life. Yeah. And we're just going to see the self-destructive pattern that he's going to continue without any backstory. We just don't need it.
I think by the end of the movie, we get all of that. We get it with the other scenes with his mom and the church and all those things like that we can get to. But I think they build that rationale as the story goes along. So by the end of it, you're like, oh, I kind of understand. He literally says, what's my purpose?
Yeah, because it's not your typical hero's journey movie.
Yeah.
He's thrown right into things right off the bat. It's just like, what is he going to do?
He's an anti-hero.
That's what I was going to say. He's an early anti-hero.
Yeah.
The whole movie is about forcing the subculture and the hippie movement and all those things to conform and how they weren't going to no matter what you do. That's the whole secret behind the sauce, you know?
The secret in the sauce.
Right. Tim, other than this anti-conformity establishment of this movie, what did you think of the character of Paul Newman interacting with our captain?
I think it's pretty typical 50s. In some regard, when you look at this, it's really weird. It seems so foreign because here they're at this camp and there's guards, but it's a loose camp. Mm-hmm. I mean, these guys are drinking sodas. He's got his bottle opener still around them. They've got guitars and all that kind of stuff. Like, you think of that now, it's like, no, man, they not only take everything in your body, but they make sure there ain't nothing hiding in your body you might take in with you at the same time.
Right.
These guys have got personal effects and things like that. So it feels really foreign and weird and of that time where even though it's a hard labor camp, it's not a maximum security kind of situation. And I think the Southern gentleman of the captain, he's stern, but yet somewhat nonchalant.
Yeah.
You're at my camp. This is what I expect, blah, blah, blah. It can be hard, but I don't have to be unless you force me to be. we all kind of have an understanding here. You do what you need to do, and we'll leave you alone for the most part, and we'll do what we need to do, kind of thing. But if you get out of line, then things are going to change real fast in a way that you're not going to appreciate.
Yeah.
And we will only tolerate certain things for so long, and then it's going to escalate to a point that you're even more so not going to appreciate.
Right.
You know, I'm glad you kind of brought that up because this movie definitely feels different than, like, say, Shawshank Redemption, which I want to say is kind of around the same time.
There's definitely overlap, yeah.
It's just weird to see, like, a Florida chain gang working completely different than, you know, what we witnessed in, like, Shawshank Redemption.
Yes.
Well, and it's not too far away from Escape from Alcatraz, I mean, which is, I think, supposed to be during the 60s, if I remember correctly.
Right.
And that's some hardcore, like, we ain't messing around with you prison.
Yeah.
That's what we know is prison to be.
Yeah.
Again, it's serious as a heart attack, but yet it's almost like an honor system's hard labor camp. It almost defies all logic when you think about it.
Right.
You are going to be prisoners that we're going to work to the bone in this hard work crew, but yet we're going to give you all these freedoms.
Yeah.
It's very weird in its structure and the way it's presented.
And I'm also wondering if it's because of their infractions. I mean, obviously, you know, Paul Newman's character got picked up for taking heads off of parking meters. And even the captain said, this is a first, but like one guy's in there for manslaughter. I mean, that's the biggest thing that he's in there for. I think everyone else that was in that roll call, it was kind of minor infractions in the scope of things.
But he says there's a lifer in there.
Yeah, there is a long-term guy in there.
So obviously it's a wide array of people. It's a work camp. I bend some rules. I spend some time in situations very similar. You know, you get to smoke in those. You get a lot more freedoms because they're using your labor.
They work you from dawn to dusk. They work you hard. But then when you're back at the camp, there is a little bit of freedom.
Yeah.
You can move around. You can talk freely until they call for lights out.
It's a little better food, a little bit more freedom. Some of the people actually can leave and go to work.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing about Shawshank that I like so much is they threw in the corruption angle.
Yeah.
They're selling the labor. And in my head, I think that's always really what's going on.
Yes.
Well, and I think this shows back before prisons did become corrupt. Because what's the thing that killed the chain gangs? A lot of the unions saying, well, you can't have those guys doing this because you're taking money away from a union worker that should be doing it through the city. And I digress. I don't want to get too far into the politics of that. But my point is being that back then, you're throwing these guys in prison, and the idea is it doesn't matter whether you're the lifer or the guy who just cut the head off of a parking meter. You're going to do really hard labor to make it so that you don't want to come back.
Yeah.
That was the whole goal. Because when you think about it, it seems like, wow, that's really strange because this guy took a couple parking meters, cut the heads off of it. The one guy forged checks, and they're doing the same labor as a guy who did manslaughter.
Yeah.
Like in today's standard, when you try to think about it, it seems really wrong. But back then it was like, make it such a miserable experience that you will never want to come back.
That you don't want to do it again.
Yeah. The goal achieved most of the time, I think.
Yeah.
Heck, just watching it. Standing in the Florida heat with one of those yo-yos swinging on to get rid of all the weeds. Yeah, nope.
Absolutely brutal. I can't imagine.
Not even for the car wash.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to just briefly touch upon is, the floor walker, the floor manager, explaining all the rules of the camp. And I got to say, after about the second time he says you got to spend time in the box, I was just chuckling the entire time because everything was in the box.
But I mean, think about it. It's Florida. I don't want to spend time in the box.
I don't want to spend time in the box either.
No, that box is about as big around as a man. You're not sitting in there. You're uncomfortable. And then it's humid Florida swamp.
Yeah.
No, I'm good.
As the phrase goes, they actually gave you a pot to piss in.
Exactly. A bucket to drink out of and a bucket to use as a restroom. Don't mix them up.
Yeah, for sure. And I can't imagine what it's got to be like when you pop the lock on that thing and open up after 3 days. That's got to be some ripe smell coming back at you.
The reek, just a wretched smell.
Yeah.
And the reek of every man that's ever been in the box, because I bet you they don't hose that thing out.
Right. They're not hosing it out.
No.
They definitely don't. Fecal matter everywhere and not a sink to clean up in there.
You hope you don't have an Eric Cartman in there that's painting the walls with his own fecal matter later on.
Exactly.
I don't want to go in the box with the artwork.
Now, before I go any further into the storyline, I do want to point out a few things. So I thought it was kind of neat that we get to see some early big name stars. And the one that I really noticed was, of course, everyone's favorite crazy man, Dennis Hopper.
Yeah.
And for a guy who only gets, I think, 2 or 3 lines, He delivers his craziness right on the screen, and I thought that was pretty cool.
He took a lot of the same people and made Easy Rider.
Yeah.
He has a handful of the same cast and some of the people behind the camera. And then 2 years later, he makes Easy Rider, which is, the reason that we all know who he is, more than just his small role in Rebel Without a Cause in 1955.
Or his more iconic role as that crazy photographer in Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, exactly.
I liked him in Space Truckers.
Oh, nice.
I like him in My Science Project.
What about in Mario Brothers? Isn't he Bowser or whatever?
Yeah.
Once you find your pinnacle movie for an actor, you just stop. You're like, I don't want to watch anything else because nothing will beat this.
Bowser's definitely that. There's also the great Harry Dean Stanton, Joe Don Baker, Wayne Rogers.
Yeah, pre-MASH, Wayne Rogers.
It's literally a who's who of film and television. Yeah, so many people showing up in little parts. You get to see Harry Dean Stanton singing. There's a lot going on in there. Strother Martin, who was a big Western star prior to this. There's a lot of people that just appear.
Yeah. Did anybody see the author's cameo? He was in there.
I missed that.
Rance Howard. Anybody see Rance Howard? Ron Howard's dead.
No.
So I knew Rance was in it, but I didn't see him.
Yeah, I guess he has a small bit at the end.
Huh.
I mean, it was like Harry Dean Stanton. I seen that guy and I'm like, I know who that is, but I don't know who that is. He's that guy from that thing.
Yeah.
I know I've seen him in a bunch of stuff, but I couldn't place one of them to save my life.
I'm used to my wife asking me, what's that guy from? And so I always have to figure out what it is. I told her Alien, and she's like, that's right. That's what he's from. He's from the first Alien movie.
That's right. Yep. Yeah.
Was he in Kelly's Heroes? I feel like I remembered him from Kelly's Heroes was like the first thing.
I think he has a small part in that.
Yeah, I feel like that's where I remember him from.
Everybody's in Kelly's Heroes, just about.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Who is it?
Yeah.
And honestly, he's one of those actors that has that face that never ages. Like as soon as you see him in here,
yeah,
he's frozen in time. He always looks that way.
Yes, he's always old and weathered.
Right.
Yeah. And then, of course, I also like that we get George Kennedy playing antagonist to Luke, and I like how young he looks. He doesn't look like the worn, weathered assistant to Detective Driven from Naked Gun series.
Right.
Or even the airport movies before that.
Yeah, he played a lot of heavies. He played a lot of the bad guys in roles. So he was really, really happy to get this.
Yeah, he credited this for allowing him to eventually become more heroes.
And to be on the good side, to be one of the good guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this really kind of put him on the map to help him get better roles.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
If you go through his IMDb or filmography, he's got a lot of like Westerns and stuff right under his belt prior to this.
That's what I kind of remembered him from. I mean, outside of the Naked Gun and everything. But I did have a little hard time watching those two when they get into a fight later on. Like, he's a big guy, but he ain't that big.
The fight choreography is not amazing.
No. This is no Seagal film, if you will.
But I did read that it took like 3 days to film the fight sequence, and it was just them repeatedly throwing themselves on the ground over and over again. And it was how it hurt so bad to do.
Brutal.
As bad as the fight is, I love the scene because it gives us character growth.
Yes.
And it shows why Dragline respects Luke, because Luke doesn't give up. Just keeps getting his ass handed to him over and over and over, but keeps getting back up.
Right.
So he earns the respect. And I think that's another thing about the Luke character, that he's not a quitter, maybe not the smartest guy in the world, but he's going to keep going.
Well, it's the whole movie, right? Is you can break my body, but you can't break my spirit.
Thanks for getting to the moral, Dave.
It's not even like initially respect. He's just kind of like, well, damn, this guy's taking all the fun out of this.
Right.
I can't keep beating him because everybody's going to think I'm a jerk. I mean, I know I'm a jerk, but I'm going to be a bigger jerk than I already am. So he kind of has to walk away a little defeated. I think he begrudgingly has to show him that respect. He's just like, well, damn, man, I don't know what else to do here other than make him my friend, because otherwise he's just going to make me look stupid over and over.
Better as an ally than an enemy.
Yeah.
I kind of really wish that Rick would have been with us for this film, because I want to go back to something that he had mentioned in Rio Grande. As I'm watching this boxing sequence, you need to have a scene like this where you establish the not really so much the toxic male dominance, but the male dominance of, I'm not going to back down. This is who I am. It's something that we don't see today.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think Rick would really play off that. Tim, what do you think?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. This he's not going to be taken down for anything. You got two choices. You either accept me and my position on whatever it is that I'm standing up for at this moment, or you kill me. Mm-hmm. That's it. Those are your two options. Like, I will not yield. So you either have to accept it or you have to kill me to prove the point. That's it. There's no in between. And that's basically what Dragline figures out is like, I'm going to have to kill this guy. So better to make him my friend and my ally to maintain my position. The other flip side of that coin is, Luke has no desire to be the top dog in this prison. He doesn't care. He just does not give a shit about anything. He literally doesn't.
Yeah.
This is a man with no agenda other than nobody's going to hold me down or tell me what to do kind of thing. That's his agenda.
Yeah.
So I think Dragline, again, is just like, well, I'm going to make this dude my buddy because, one, I got to respect that he kept getting up. But two, if I don't, again, I got to kill this guy. I'm going to put more time on my sentence.
Right.
He forced my hand.
I think first, that's a really solid point. Paul Newman has the great line, which is said he's never made a plan in his life, which I do love that line later in the movie. Mm-hmm. But you also have to think, if this is a regular thing, these fights that are on Saturdays, because they talked about it earlier,
right?
If this is a regular thing, then George Kennedy's character, Dragline, has probably already whooped up on a handful of other people and newcomers, everything else. And they all probably at some point give up, give in, get knocked out. To them, it's more of a game to show dominance. And that's the whole thing, is he's just not going to concede to your dominance.
And I think it also plays on the following scene where we see the poker game after that. I think that's kind of the point where, we see that now Dragline becomes more of a friend to Luke. And I don't know if he kind of loses some of the dominance, but now you see that Luke has actually moved up in ranks a little bit within the community or the hierarchy of the gang. And I just think that this was kind of a moment for him to give out an olive branch to Luke. And it's an interesting dynamic that they now have throughout this movie.
And he's his cheerleader through most of it.
Yes.
This is my boy is how he presents it.
Yeah.
Because he has to, because even during that poker game, Luke don't give a crap.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like, whatever, win the money, lose the money, I could give a shit less. But if it makes this other guy sweat, it gives me maybe a little bit of entertainment. I don't know. He's just on this path of self-destruction. That's really all he cares about.
Right.
So now Dragline's going to rally behind that and be like, yeah, my boy, look, he's not afraid of nothing. He'll throw all his money behind it. He's got balls of steel and he's my boy, kind of things. He's playing it up like this is the dude now. This is my second,
Right. And Dragline almost comes across as being, after the fight, he starts to become almost more innocent and childlike when he's around Luke.
Yeah.
Like he's in awe. He's enamored by that I don't give a crap attitude that Luke has.
I think that fits into Dragline might be one of the first people to recognize the strength of spirit that is unbroken in Luke throughout the entire movie. And that's probably intoxicating a little bit to be around. If nothing else, it's probably positive and uplifting and gives you hope.
Yeah.
Because somebody else is hopeful. That's the whole thing for the movie. That's later on when they're all upset with Luke and stuff like that. It's because they lost their hope. They lost the one thing that they had that they thought was going to show they could persevere and this would all turn out for the best.
So they would need a new hope then.
Yeah.
To go against the empire that is the gang.
That's exactly right. And then they're going to make 17 more of them.
Yes, at least. And 2 TV shows.
Everybody else has a sense of, I have something to lose. And I think when they see Luke, they just see a guy who's completely free of that.
Yeah.
It comes again with the self-destructive path where he's truly free because he doesn't care.
Yeah.
And these guys see that as being something they're in awe of.
Yes.
And they don't realize that it's just a self-destructive path that he's on. They just see the freedom of a guy who's like, oh my God, this guy.
Strength of spirit.
Yeah, like they are reading into it something that I don't think's really there. Again, he's on a self-destructive path and he doesn't give a shit, doesn't care whether he lives or dies or anything like that.
Yeah.
He has no purpose in life as far as he's concerned. But they see a guy who's strong in will and is, truly free, answers to nobody.
Yeah.
It's almost like that Japanimation that Rick was talking about. I'm sorry, you guys, you probably have not listened to the podcast, but one of our podcasters, he watched a lot of Japanimation. He talks about this one anime where this guy's part of this like D&D party and he's the dumbest, most laziest guy on the planet. And yet he's with the like toughest people in this entire continent or whatever. And they think he's the greatest thing because of his attitude and stuff. And they keep making excuses for him thinking, oh, he's only doing this because he's so smart that, he's showing no fear or he doesn't, you want to mess with that because it's beneath him. They're always making excuses and they're building him up. And I think that's what these guys are doing. They're building him up, even though they realize he's super damaged.
Right.
And that's the only reason he is who he is, not because he's this great inspirational figure.
Right. But they're all looking for something. They're grasping for hope no matter what it is.
Right. Everybody wants somebody to look up to.
Right. Can I just mention that Dragline's so freely gambling with somebody else's money in that poker game?
Yeah.
He's pushing him until all of a sudden then the stakes get really high. He's like, hey, don't ask me, man. Like, you like, we play with somebody else's money like that's hilarious.
We covered a lot of ground in our discussion, and I just want to kind of circle back to something here. So after the poker game, after all this stuff, we actually get to see a visitation, and we see Arletta, Luke's mom, show up, and Luke actually becomes more optimistic and outgoing after his mom visits.
Yeah.
And he repeatedly shows defiance to the captain and the guards, and his sense of humor and independence prove inspiring, much like you guys had said earlier, where, before it was like a very cavalier, I don't give a crap. But now he's kind of changed a little bit. After his mom shows up and he has a conversation with her, he seems to be a little more humorous, a little more independent. Things seem to be changing for him, and it definitely changing for the better.
Mm-hmm.
And Luke gets a banjo.
Which, it's the worst thing his brother could say is, now you have nothing to come back for?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Jesus. That was a gut punch. What a dick.
Well, apparently there's some bad blood between him and his brother.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
And the mom's even like, hey, I'm going to give him the house and stuff. And he's like, yeah, he deserved it or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think he's more upbeat, Matt. I think he's be able to detach himself from another part of his life. Okay, well, mom's come to visit. We both accepted this as our last visit.
Yeah.
And, she's going to be dead soon kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And his brother's like, here's your banjo. Don't ever come back. Don't let the door hit you in the ass while you're on your way out kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
later,
I think it's just another ability for him to cut off a portion of his life that even frees him up more to just not give a crap. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
That was my take. It's not a feel-good moment as much as now there's one more thing I just don't have to worry about. This frees me up even more to just be more self-destructive down this path that I'm going, this rabbit hole that I'm slowly crawling my way down into.
Yeah, no, I get that. 100%. I think his mom points out another possible motivation for why he is the way he is, because she says it's a lot less fun without you around, and kind of alludes to, I can't remember exactly what she says verbatim, but to the fact that he was always hopeful. He's a good for nothing and all these things, but he always not only made things interesting, but always came out on top.
Yeah.
Like they almost also were looking at him as hope.
Right.
Does that make sense? And he might just be sick and tired of that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the hero. I don't want to be the inspiration. Stop putting me on a pedestal.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned that, but there's also another layer to Luke. And, we learn a little bit about his father. And it sounds like he was a fatherless child growing up.
Right.
Maybe Arletta was a single mom raising these two boys. And clearly she put a lot more attention into Luke, who apparently was the oldest.
Yeah.
And then poor John was left with all the scraps. So I think that's kind of another thing that you kind of get into Luke's mind. And he even mentions, I wish I knew my father like you had said.
Right.
I think it kind of allows us to see a new look onto his life.
And it throws some more of that religious symbolism in there that they intended on putting in there.
It's the beginning of the religious symbolism, because it's going to come back more and more as the movie progresses now.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it might establish a little bit that Luke was a hellraiser in his early life. This is a new thing for him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because when she says, things were a lot more interesting and you were kind of more or less a good for nothing, you can only discern from that meant he was kind of a hellraiser even in his youth. It's just now he's a hellraiser with no purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before he was just a hellraiser because he could be kind of thing.
But she didn't worry about it because he always seemed to come out on top is what I was surmising out of it.
Yeah, that it always worked out for him.
Even people who are cantankerous when they're young tend to get their crap together later in life, like in their 20s is kind of when that happens.
At some point.
And this did not change Ford to some degree,
Right.
What is it? If you haven't rebelled by the age of 20, you have no heart. If you haven't turned establishment by the age of 30, you have no brains. Something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
What happens when you're 40 and you don't?
You get a podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You watch Cool Hand Luke and you talk to some cool dudes about it, and then we record the whole thing.
And you tell kids why they're stupid because they don't watch movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then yell at them to get off your lawn.
And then they throw a parking meter through your window. Where'd you find a parking meter?
Yeah.
They're like, is that what that thing is? I didn't know what that thing was.
I found it down by the creek with the crawdad.
I'm really mad, but kudos for finding a parking meter, kid.
Well, as I was saying, we do see a little bit of a change in Luke and his whole demeanor around the camp. And as you guys had mentioned, the group starts to idolize Luke a little more. and they're out on a work site. And this is where we get the paving sequence. And it's Luke who decides that, hey, you know what? Let's see if we can race this machine. He just starts, convincing everybody,
to run.
Let's race. Let's go faster, faster, faster. And I thought that is just like a really cool sequence.
Yes.
I think that's just him rebelling.
Yeah.
He's like, if you're going to punish me by making me do this, it's kind of like the kid who goes and grabs the belt for his dad and says, whoop me. You know what I mean? It's basically the equivalent of him saying, like, there's nothing you can do that's going to break my spirit. Finishing fast enough like that is just showing them this didn't get to me.
Right.
And they really did tar that road. They tarred a mile stretch of that road.
It's out here somewhere. I should go try to find it.
It's been retarred since then, Dave. It's not the same road anymore.
You're not supposed to say that anymore, Dave.
Yeah, that's word's not used anymore, sir.
Good catch. It has been repaved.
Yeah, it's been milled and overlaid, repaved.
It's been chip sealed.
It's probably got curb and gutter now. And then, after that road paving job, we then get a sequence where everyone's just kind of chilling in the very rainy and annoyingly tin roof tinging sound of the Florida prison.
God, the humidity must have been awful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've been to Florida in the summertime down to Disney when it was just nasty and hot and humid. And yeah, that's swamp crotch right there for you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
But again, we get another idolization sequence from Dragline in which, he's talking all about Cool Hand Luke and how that boy could eat anything. And that's when we get to the bet on the 50 hard-boiled eggs in an hour. Now, as we're recording this, Easter's literally around the corner. And I'm sure you guys are much like me. You probably have kids that you've dyed Easter eggs when you've done the whole hard-boiling eggs. I'm just curious, how many hard-boiled eggs have you ever eaten in an hour? Personally, I've only done about 5 eggs before my stomach goes, that's enough.
I don't know that I've gone past the third.
I did 51.
I could do 50 if you peel them for me. It's the peeling that gets me every time. I don't know that I've ever even tried to eat more than like 3 in a day.
Yeah.
I've never tried to eat more, and I don't plan to. I feel like Tim's put away some hard-boiled eggs, though.
I made about 27 of them, but then I went into the diabetic coma, and somebody's like, you're not supposed to eat that many Cadbury eggs. Stop it.
I like it. That's a good. Yeah, but the way that they show that, the way that he does that, like he bloats out his stomach and everything, and you can feel like just thinking about 20 eggs, how sick the idea just makes me feel it. Mm-hmm. And to watch him going through that and then him laying there almost in that comatose state where he's laying back and just out.
He didn't eat 50, but Paul Newman ate a bunch of eggs over multiple takes.
I think he ate like 8 or 10 of them.
That's still a lot.
Yeah. The scene that gets me, though, when you watch it, the two things that really, I think, bring it home for you, make you feel the pain, is when he smacks him on that belly. He's holding that belly as solid as it can, so there's no movement.
He's rubbing it, trying like, let's get some more in there.
And then they get to that end count, and he's literally taking his jaw, and he's just crunching it for him, like he's just chewing it for him the whole time. It's like, oh my God, I'm ill just watching this. I don't think I can watch any more of this. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's funny because watching this, I love the whole training sequence. Dragline for probably a couple days is just helping him get ready for this competition or this feat of stupidity.
And that's exactly what it is.
It's almost like a bad 80s film where they get ready for a hot dog competition or something.
Yeah. And, the other thing that I think is kind of funny about this, too, is so after watching this, a few things kind of clicked in my head about some other shows that did an homage to this that I never really realized. And the one that really sticks out to me, y'all remember that TV show Malcolm in the Middle?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's quacks, not peeps. It's quacks.
Yeah.
He eats 100 quacks or 50 quacks.
Yeah.
That also looked disgusting.
Yeah.
Because his fingers are all pink and slime and that's just also not good.
So real quick, we kind of glossed over maybe the sexiest scene in this whole movie, though. The car wash. We got to talk about the car wash for a second.
Oh, yes. My apologies. Here's my man card.
I think that's why I hold on to this movie so well, because as a 9 or 10-year-old kid, that was the hottest thing I'd ever seen.
See, I told you. I knew we were going to drill down to the core of this babysitting story.
And we have your babysitter here. Let's see what your babysitter has to say, Josh.
She's on the line. Hang on.
Were you creeped out by Josh at 10 years old? Did he have a pillow on his lap?
No, but just the guys sweating and ogling her as they're pretending to work now because they're not really working anymore. They're just staring. And Dragline gives her a nickname.
Lucille.
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that part.
Yeah.
Like, that's why this movie stays with me forever.
You know, we got so distracted by everything else, I totally forgot that. Thank you for bringing it up. I just need to ask, when you were 10, your mom said, hey, your babysitter's coming over. Did you immediately bring a bucket of water and soap next to the car parking outside?
In hopes that she would wash the car?
Yeah.
No, I probably lined up a dozen boiled eggs.
That's what happened. That makes sense. Well, it's also the only woman in the whole movie, right? Except for his mom.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that they didn't even get to see her. When they filmed that, they filmed it completely separate. And they just had a 15-year-old girl miming washing a car up there. So those guys are watching. They're not even seeing her. And then they filmed her scene separately, which also coincidentally, much like the fight, took 3 days to film.
Yeah,
I can't imagine why.
That was a clean car.
And somewhere George Kennedy says there's about 80,000 feet of film of this girl washing a car out there somewhere.
Yeah.
The special edition will be like 2 hours long with at least a 45-minute car washing scene.
Yeah.
Right.
I love it.
I am curious as to how much they paid her to push herself up against the passenger window and move side to side.
And just do that shake.
Yeah.
Supposedly, again, take this with a grain of salt, but she was kind of a naive, young girl. And she's just like, I was just washing the car. I didn't think nothing about it. And she didn't realize how sexy they kind of made it. And she's like, I didn't realize until I went and seen the actual premiere of the film. And she goes, I was kind of embarrassed about the whole situation.
Right. Yeah, I read that.
Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the story.
Well, it's also, she, I think, held them up for a day, right? Because the director and the producers wanted her to smoke pot before to loosen her up. At least that's what she says.
Well, he's won the bet about eating the 50 eggs, and a message comes in, and he learns that his mother had passed away. From that, we then get to a sequence where it's another turn for the character of Luke, and I think this is where we kind of see that he does have feelings for his mom, because they clear out the whole area. Luke gets a chance to just kind of like mourn in a way, and I feel sorry for him because immediately the next day he gets thrown in the box because the captain believes that a guy starts to develop the ability to want a rabbit from having to go see his mom's funeral.
Yeah.
And so he's stuck in the box for 3 days. And I just think with as much freedom as they have and leeway, you think that they would at least give him like a furlough or something.
Right.
This is the point where I kind of pick apart a little bit about the motivations of the captain. What did you guys think? And I'll go to you first, Josh.
So we never do see that they get a furlough. We just know they have a little more freedom. And I think it's because of that freedom, the captain is afraid that he is going to run. But in doing what he does, it instills in Luke that all I'm going to do now is run. Because up to that point, he just kind of did his time, did his thing, his devil may care attitude, didn't care what anything was going on, was going to do it his way. And now it's all I'm going to do is get away. I'm going to leave one way or another. I'm okay that he tries to stop it because they haven't set up that they have freedom that they can ever leave. They have freedom to walk around the camp, but they don't get to go anywhere. But this is the pivotal point where he's no longer going to stay.
Yeah.
He's going to run. And that's all he cares about for the rest of the movie.
I think the freedom that they all have, if you call it that, is also under the control of what the captain and the facility wants, what they'll allow. And so no matter what, they're just going to keep exerting more, do what we say, we're ruling by an iron fist. But I can't imagine anything more brutal than being left alone for days with your own thoughts after the loss of your mom or something.
Right.
Well, and I think Josh is kind of right. This is a pivotal moment, but I view it differently. This is the most pivotal character development moment for the Luke character.
Yeah.
Because when he talked to his mom earlier, they kind of said their goodbyes. He was like, oh, yeah, you're going to die. All right. Well, thanks for the banjo. Have a great life. And that's it.
Yeah.
She's a little broken up. She pretends like she doesn't care.
Yeah.
But in the end, you see her cry a little bit. But he's just kind of like, okay, well, that ends that. And then I think he gets the news and it hits him harder than he thought it was going to.
Yes.
It finally chisels through some of that granite persona of his, and he realizes, oh shit, mom's dead. I think it really has a much greater impact on him than he ever expected to.
Yeah.
And he might have been just fine had they just let him work it out and mourn it in his own way, but then they put him in the box.
Yeah.
I think he couldn't live under their system. I think that was the turning point where he says, your system is not going to work for me.
I think it's when they didn't let him mourn in his own way and they put him in the box and they're like, well, it's because prisoners have proven to rabbit when this happens. And he's like, I'm just doing my job. He's like, that don't make it right. And that's the moment where he's like, okay, game on.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's running away so he can go to his mom's funeral.
No.
Even though he's impacted greatly by this, and we know that. I think it's more, you put me in the box. How dare you do that? Now I'm going to leave just because you did this to me in my time of grief.
Yeah, your system is too unjustified and unfair.
I gave you no reason to think I was going to run.
Yeah. I think if they had just given him a couple of days off the chain gang, kept him there under guard, just let him work it out, he'd have been fine. I think he would have just done the rest of his time.
Yeah.
But because they forced his hand, then he's like, well, all right, game on.
They just need to give him a beer and some pipe cutters. He'd been good.
Right. Yeah. They created the monster that they were trying to avoid creating.
Yeah. Couldn't say it better, Matt. Exactly.
And that then leads to the rest of the movie where all he can think about is escaping. And I have to say, I thought it was kind of clever the way that he came up with his first escape attempt under the cover of the 4th of July celebration.
Mm-hmm.
And he winds up cutting the floor underneath the one bunk, and he sneaks out that way during one of the bell calls from the floor manager. And watching, I kind of got a little lost because I'm like, okay, so I saw Paul Newman duck away, and then somebody else ducks away. And then we see the other guy get caught, but we don't really see Paul Newman make his escape like a few minutes later on where he's like running through ditches and stuff.
I think the other guy was a distraction.
I think so, too. I was going to ask you if that's what you guys thought.
I think they all agreed. What a horrible thing to lock you in the box. He says, I'm going to break out. Then they all kind of offer to help. And so I think that guy was a distraction.
Yeah, then they pull their Hogan's Heroes. This is how we're going to dig out.
Exactly. There's an escape tunnel, the underground.
Yeah. That's a great analogy, Hogan's Heroes, man.
Yeah.
Papa Bear calling Goldilocks, all of it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. We just don't get to reference Hogan's Heroes very much in this show. I love it.
Yeah. And, I'm going to reference something that Hogan's Heroes was based off of, and then, of course, was The Great Escape, because we see Paul Newman do exactly what Steve McQueen did, but without a motorcycle. He kept jumping over the fence.
Yeah, when he's jumping over the fence, I thought the same thing. I was like, man, he just needs a motorcycle, and he's Steve McQueen.
And when I was first watching, I'm like, why are they repeatedly showing him jumping over the same fence several times? And it wasn't until we saw the dog chase later that I'm like, oh, he's throwing the dogs off by having them try to go through the fence.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah.
You know what wrecked me for this is there's a whole Mythbusters episode about trying to elude the police and the dogs during a prison break chase. And so I'm watching this whole thing going, nope, that's not going to work. Nope, that's not going to work. Nope, that's not going to work. I just like everything he tries, none of that's going to work. And I know that for sure now as I'm watching it. So, I mean, it was still fun to watch, but it's kind of like, I know none of this is going to work. You cannot escape the dogs. There's just no way.
Yeah.
Those things are absolutely amazing, those bloodhounds.
Now, the one thing that I feel bad about is when they show back up with the one bloodhound in the trunk, they're just holding the dog there.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that it was a well-trained dog that could, quote, play dead.
Or just a really fancy stuffed animal.
Yeah.
My wife gets really upset, and I always have to tell her that's a trained animal.
Yeah.
So there's a trainer who loves that dog.
Yeah.
Who works on the movie set. Like, they're not going to let anything happen to their dog. So it's just very well trained. But then I jokingly said they had to get 30 takes. They had to kill 30 dogs.
And of course, Luke does get captured again. And that's where we get that famous line. What we got here is a failure to communicate. As we said earlier in this episode, they really hammer that home in the trailer.
Yeah, they do.
It is a really cool line.
Mm-hmm. And in that, the trailer makes you think that line is repeated over and over again. It's said in the main speech and then repeated by Paul Newman. Like, it's not as prevalent.
But Pearson, the actual guy who wrote the script,
yeah,
like he had said that obviously, as we all know, that represents there is no two-way conversation. It's my way.
Right.
So in the trailer, they're showing that it for subversion and all those things, like the subculture, to say like it doesn't matter what it is. There isn't a two-way communication stream here. You're gonna do what I say. That's the failure to communicate. Is you're not listening to the words I'm telling you to do.
Yeah.
So that's why it's in the trailer a bunch of times, I would imagine.
Well, and I think what sells it is it's two things. It's the cadence and that Southern accent.
Yeah.
You put some guy from New York that gives that same speech and it's going to have the same impact. It's just that whole Southern delivery. What we have here is failure to communicate.
Yeah.
Which the author, the actual guy who wrote it, that was his biggest complaints. He said the guards were not intelligent enough to put those kind of words together. To be that astute, I think is what he said.
it made it for a great soundbite on a Guns N' Roses soundtrack as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then, after he gets affixed with chains and he's working again with the chain gang, he makes his second escape. And I thought it was rather clever that he managed to get away and winds up at first I thought it was like a filling station, but I'm assuming it was some plantation farmhouse. And winds up asking two little boys to get him some cayenne pepper and some other things. And I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? I mean, I can understand the axe. He gives him an axe so he can break his chains.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't quite catch as to why he was asking for those components of food products.
That kid was one of my favorite parts of the movie. Because at one point when the other kid says that he can get an axe and all things like that, and then he says, well, go get it. And then he gives him like this guy. If you didn't notice that little thumb thing, like, don't worry about this guy, which is hilarious for a little kid to do that.
Well, and I like how disappointed the little kid comes back when he's like, oh, you better give that to me, boy, because I don't think you can handle it. The kid's like, oh. But to answer your question, Matt, is that all the cayenne pepper and stuff is so that he can spread all over the ground. So when the dogs come sniffing his tracks, it'll get into their nose and screw him up.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure Mythbusters destroyed that theory too.
They didn't affect the dogs whatsoever. They were still able to find them, no problem.
See, this is why I hate science. It ruins my favorite movie.
Yeah, those damn Mythbusters wrecking all our great cinema.
So Luke does get captured again. After this one, the guards definitely tool up old Luke, and the captain now warns Luke that he'll be killed if he ever attempts to escape again. And when Luke returns after a long stay in the box and is punished by being forced to eat a massive serving of rice, the others help him finish it off. This is where we see that it just looks as though he has a broken spirit.
Yeah.
It's a Saturday. They no longer have to work, but he still works. They still make him dig a ditch in the yard and then fill it in and dig it again. So I have to ask you, Tim, why did you put dirt in my backyard?
I don't know, boss. I don't know. I can't even imagine having that happen where one guy's like, well, why'd you dig up all that dirt? I don't know. You need to put that back in the hole. And the next guy's like, I thought I told you to take all that dirt out of the boss's hole. Why is it not out of the hole? To do that over and over.
How do you not talk back to somebody saying all that?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been in the box. He's already hot. He's tired. He hasn't slept well.
Yeah.
And they got him doing that all night. I mean, if that doesn't break a man, I don't know what will. I mean, that's incredible feat of endurance to have that happen and still try to maintain any kind of will to do anything after the fact.
Yeah. And this is where he has that meltdown where he yells out to God, asking, just give me something. Show me that you see me.
Yeah.
In the last escape.
But even at this, when all the prisoners are trying to talk to him, he finally snaps like, I'm not your hero. I'm not your inspiration. I'm not anything. Just go the hell away. I didn't ask for this. I don't want this. And I'm not this. Like, just leave me alone.
Yeah, it's perceived to be his fall to the point where he's just fitting in where he's supposed to be. He's following orders now. We see a change in him.
Yeah.
He's now the one that runs and gets the stuff for the man with no eyes.
Yeah.
But when he makes that change, Dragline says something when they finally do escape that third time, and Dragline goes with him. He says, I could have been out of here in a couple of years, but when you got that truck, I just saw something. He saw that joy. He saw that freedom behind his eyes, and he had to go. He had to follow him. And I love that.
And people want to follow Paul Newman's character. That's the burden that he's been bearing his entire life.
Yeah.
Well, and then even in the end, he's like, okay, well, you go your way, I'm going mine now. Like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some part of him that enjoys the attention, I think, but it's only when it's convenient. Otherwise, it's like, just leave me alone. I don't even care,
Yeah.
I'm glad that I amused you, but when it's inconvenient for me, it's time for you to move on and leave me alone.
Yeah. And, you guys had mentioned earlier about, the religious symbolism in this movie. And I think we definitely see some of that there in the church after that last getaway, because he's in there and he's talking to God and he blames him for everything and sabotaging him. And that's when, like you had said, Dragline comes back in. It feels very much like asking God, why am I here? Why am I doing all this?
What's my purpose?
Yeah, exactly. And I like that there is no easy answer.
Yeah. And poor Luke's answer is mouthing off to people, because they show up and the first thing he says when he sticks his head out the window is, looks like what we got here is failure to communicate.
Sass. He sasses immediately.
Right, because Dragline just told him, if you come out peacefully, they won't shoot you. You're not going in the box. They're just going to take you back.
I think he allude to the fact that he's like, no way, they're going to kill me. Like, he knows that this is his third time.
Right. Well, because that's what he was told that.
Yeah. And so he was never going to go easily and peacefully.
Right.
So I think he, in his natural spirit way, rebels by throwing some shade out there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It just shows the difference. I mean, it's such a 50s thing where he's going to get shot and nobody's going to blink an eye at it. Nobody's going to think twice. Like, this is just another casualty, where today that would be a big to-do.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be all over the news. But back then, it's like, one more prisoner bit the dust and, took a bullet trying to escape. No big loss.
Yeah.
And, the guy who shot him, of course, was the man with no eyes. And we know he's a crack shot, and he got him in the neck. You think he would have, shot him in the head or something.
Unless he wanted to shoot him in the neck.
Could be, yeah. And it's also at this point that we see that Dragline snaps and basically attacks the man with no eyes and knocks his glasses off. And I thought it was very symbolic that the car rolls over his sunglasses.
Yeah.
And, of course, Luke's not dead. You can hear Dragline say, hey, don't die. You're going to stick around. Stay with us.
Yeah.
And they throw him in the back of the car, and the one cop says, well, take him to the medic or whatever it is. And they're like, no, we're going to take him to the county hospital in the prison.
He'll never make it. But then this is also where the legend of Cool Hand Luke that Dragline and the guys are going to talk about in the very next scene, because he gives them that little wry smile.
It's showing you didn't break my spirit, even all the way to the end. He probably knows he's going to die. He probably even understands they're going to let him die.
Yes.
Even if he wasn't thinking he would.
Right.
He's going to go out on his own terms.
Little Sinatra, I did it my way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then Dragline takes that back to the guys. What did he look like when he left? He was smiling.
Yeah.
I think it's that the man who shot Liberty Valance, right? Which is when the legend exceeds the man, print the legend.
Yes.
I think that his impact on that group of people and stuff like that is going to go on whether he's there or not.
Yeah.
In the end, you got to sit and think about it. This guy basically allowed himself to be shot to death over some parking meter change.
Yeah.
It's just kind of sad when you think about it.
The real question is, if he knew at the beginning by cutting the meters, the end result would be his death or going to prison, all those things like that, would he still do it if you said, don't do this or this will happen? You know what I mean? Like, would he still rebel against it?
Yes, because you don't tell Luke no.
Yeah, exactly. You don't tell him what to do.
But is that because he's shell-shocked from everything that he's seen in war? That's where you start thinking about his motivation throughout the entire movie. Yeah, it sucks that he died over just, pocket change.
Right.
But suicide by cop, was that his final end goal?
I think he died because of his convictions. He made this choice when they put him in the box. His mom died. They put him in the box. He made this choice that he was going to run or die trying.
Yeah.
The parking meters, that's what started him down this road. Putting him in the box after his mom died, saying, you've never given me a reason to not trust you, but I don't trust you, so let's go do this. Fine, then I'm going to be exactly what you think I am. And he's just going to run until he can't run anymore.
So to quote the MCU's TV series Loki, he did it for glorious purpose.
His own glorious purpose. Yeah.
Got it. All right. Well, that's pretty much Cool Hand Luke, guys. Is there any key points or thoughts on specific scenes that you guys want to mention? I'll ask you first, Dave.
I still like the kid. Who made my wife and I laugh, and I rewound it 10 times with me going, this guy. That kid makes me laugh every time.
How about you, Josh?
For me, it's every time I watch him screaming out in the barn for God before the death, I always expect Kevin Bacon to come dancing through.
Loose.
Like, I feel like everybody at some point feels that, like, what is the purpose of all this? Show me something, give me something, whether it's God or whatever you believe in. We all have those days.
And I think he's killed people. He's ended other people's lives. Who knows?
Right.
And I think he's carrying that. He might also already think that his life isn't worth living anymore. Like, I don't know. I only killed 2 people. I don't feel good about it.
Right.
It was 1.
Wait. Were you in Reno? Did you shoot a man in Reno just to watch him die?
I was bored. I couldn't find any parking meters,
How about you, Tim?
Nah, I mean, there's only so many key points to this film, and I think we pretty much hit them all, honestly.
All right. Well, then that's been our review of Cool Hand Luke. So, gentlemen, we have a rating system called the Death Clock. We all have a limited amount of time on this earth. Is this movie, Cool Hand Luke, worth taking the time off of your death clock to watch this? Is it worth taking 2 hours and 6 minutes off your death clock? What do you think, Tim?
I'm probably going to be the outlier here. It has some classic scenes in it, but overall, I'm going to say I don't understand why it's in the book. I just don't think it's that monumental of a film that it really deserves to be there. It's worth a watch, I guess. But if you want to watch a prison film, I could pick out several others. I would tell you to watch first The Great Escape, Escape from Alcatraz. Or if you want something funny, go watch The Longest Yard with Burt Reynolds. That would be one of my other picks. I think before I tell you to go watch this one, it didn't have that much of an impact on me. Again, it's a film made by a classic actor. Nobody's going to say otherwise about Paul Newman, but it's just one of those films that was just kind of there for me. It had an okay plot. It had some okay subtext to it and stuff, but overall, it just wasn't that fantastic. So if you're going to watch it, for me, it's a one-time, one and done. I'm probably never going to come back to it again. But there are a few scenes that are very culturally significant that you will know, such as the egg eating scene that's been reproduced. Obviously, again, the whole speech, what we have here, if nothing else, the Guns N' Roses song, you know it from. But I didn't think it was all that fantastic as far as films go.
Gotcha. What about you, Dave? Is it worth taking time off that death clock to watch this movie?
Yeah, for me, I think so. I mean, technically my life is going to end at some point, so this is my death clock. But that being said, I think it loses something without the countercultural element that 1967, 66, 68, that it was coming out into that atmosphere. Going back and thinking about the authority figures that they were all dealing with and fighting against and rebelling against then, I think this was probably a much more important movie. But for me, again, the Conrad Hall, the cinematography is phenomenal. So it's worth it just for the visuals alone and the way he tells the story.
Okay. Now, Josh, I have a feeling that you're going to follow suit, but what's your death clock?
It is a yes for me, but not so much the counterculture. So the movie was being filmed in 1966, which is the year Jack Valenti takes over. The Hays Code ends, which was running Hollywood and the rating system and what movies could be made. This was there along with Bonnie and Clyde and a few others at a time when there was a cultural shift in how movies can be made. So this is foundational in what would come next. Without movies like this and Bonnie and Clyde, we don't get everything that happened in the 70s and on. So for me, just for the historical factor around Valenti taking over, just for that alone, beyond my personal connection to the movie, it's worth it.
We have a friend of the show, Will, who famously says this movie had to walk so future films could run.
Right.
And I think that's basically what you're saying. I agree with that 100%.
I think that's a good analogy. I like that. I would agree with that.
I stole it from somebody else. It's from Will.
That's all right, man. That's all right. You can claim it here. We won't tell anybody.
I credit it every time.
That's from Will Soda from The One Good Scare.
We won't tell anybody, but you can guarantee that we're probably going to steal that from you as well. So
as soon as you stop listening, it's ours.
I'm kind of torn because going into this, I was like, yeah, this is definitely a big watch for me because I did enjoy it. I mean, it was quick pace. It was a good story. After talking with you guys, I can see some cultural significance to it, but part of me is kind of leaning towards a no because there are other things out there that I found a little more riveting in presenting a prison film like Tim. But you know what? I'm going to stick with my initial gut feeling is that, yes, it is worth taking time off your death clock. If anything, just because you get to see a young Paul Newman, you get to see a lot of present day famous actors that are young in this movie, but are now no longer with us. Definitely a yes. So let's talk a little bit about feedback. So, folks, if you enjoyed what you heard here, if you got some comments or suggestions or just some general feedback, we would love to hear from you. So you can email our show at manreviewpodcast@gmail.com and have your email read right here on the show. Or leave a comment on YouTube and Spotify, and we'll discuss it here as well. We're always open to suggestions and hearing from other people out there who love films. All right, gentlemen. Well, now that we've reviewed Cool Hand Luke, what else are you watching that is worth sharing? Josh, you got anything out there right now that you're really jazzed about?
I know we're talking movies, but I watched the first episode of the new Peacock series, The Burbs, and I'm really enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it. Going to watch the second episode with my wife tonight. But right now, everything I'm watching movie-wise is Oscar nominee stuff, trying to get caught up before the 15th. So for right now, it's just The Burbs is my fun watch, and it's been good so far. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Awesome. All right, Tim. Well, what about you? What's the newest thing you've been watching?
Well, we started down this path of prison movies, so I kind of stayed with the theme, and I decided to go watch Stir Crazy.
Nice.
It's been a while since I watched that.
Good movie.
I enjoyed it, but again, it's not one that I felt like held up as well as I had remembered it in my mind. So still probably worth a watch. Wasn't horrible, wasn't great.
Sure.
But I love Gene Wilder, love Richard Pryor, so it still has some wonderful moments in it. And then I thought about moving on again, to a little Burt Reynolds action there, watching The Longest Yard. But if I do that, it starts a rabbit hole. Then I got to watch Smokey and the Bandit. Then if I watch Smokey and the Bandit, I'm like, what else do I love him in? Well, I love him in My Name is Earl because, let's face it, he's chubby. So, and then that starts me having to watch all that series over again. So I stopped. I said, no, can't do that. And I went and watched Rat Race instead. And I don't know if you watched this one before.
Oh, yeah.
John Cleese's teeth are really doing all the acting in that movie.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. But, we still got Cuba Gooding Jr., at his height. We got some Whoopi Goldberg. We've got, Seth Green in there. I mean, it's just there's so many people in this. Rowan Atkinson. We got The Liar. John Lovett's in there.
Vince Valouf.
Vince Valouf. That's the other guy.
It's like Cannonball Run, only way funnier.
If I remember right, it felt very much like It's a Mad, Mad World.
100%. Yes.
It's kind of like they try to do a reboot.
Yeah, very much so. But, usually when you have an all-star cast movie, it's crap, and this one was not.
Nice. Well, how about you, Dave?
I watched the reboot of The Toxic Avenger that came out last year.
Yeah, how was that?
I loved it. I mean, it's super violent. It's goofy. I laughed a lot. I really liked it.
It's a lot of fun.
But did you fall for the Disney owns Troba?
Yes, we did. It happened on our show. We announced it to the world.
I specifically did.
But what's funny is that Toxic Avenger is streaming on Disney's services. So
yes, correct.
Kind of like they do.
Technically, yeah. I loved it. I thought it was really funny. And again, I just really enjoyed it. I thought the actual acting was good. I thought for a weird, dumb, goofy movie, Kevin Bacon's in it, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
It's a trauma film with Kevin Bacon and Elijah Wood in it.
That's crazy.
I liked it a lot. But again, I just watched that the other night. It's very funny to me.
Fantastic. I like the original. I like the sequel. It's on my eventually watch list, so I'm sure someday I'll end up watching it. Well, I've been a bad parent in the fact that the one day I decided to check out the newest story in the Game of Thrones universe, and I watched it, and I went, meh. And it made me want to go back and watch Game of Thrones. So that's what I'm doing. And of course, I'm kind of watching it with my kids. And I am doing the responsible thing. And when it comes to a specific scene, I'm like, all right, kids, go into the room. So it's amazing how fast you can watch a 45-minute episode in increments of 5 minutes as you forward through a lot of stuff that you don't want to show your kids.
Sure. That's funny.
Yeah, Bad Dad Award right here.
Nah.
Well, guys, I do want to thank you both for being part of our show. Josh, can you let our listeners know where they can find your thought-provoking shows?
So we've got a few. The big one is Couch Critics. Couch Critics, a real talk podcast, anywhere you get your podcast, YouTube, TikTok, and podcasting streams. We do have a couple of really good episodes coming up on Friday. Jesse from the Cult Cinema Circle joins us, and we talk cult classic type movies, and we talk about... Oh, Dave, what movie did we watch? We watched
Mildred Pierce. God, classic movie.
Yeah. And then on Tuesday, our normal episode drops where Dave and I talk about Westerns that we like, because Westerns aren't a huge thing when we grew up, when we were all growing up, right? They didn't make a lot of new ones.
Yeah.
So we talk about finding old Westerns that we enjoy. So that episode's coming on Tuesday. And then we have this great interview on Sunday for a little independent film called All the Fun Things You Can Do in Aledo, Illinois. The writer, director, and two starring actresses are going to be on the show. So we got a lot coming up. And again, it's at Couch Critics RRT on Instagram, Threads, YouTube, and TikTok.
All right. And you can check out our show notes to get all that. Tim, you want to take us home?
I don't know. First, I've just got to say, it makes me sad again because they're like, oh, well, they didn't make any new Westerns when we were, growing up. Am I just that old? Am I the only guy that was still around when they were still making Westerns? You guys suck.
They made like Long Riders, Silverado. They just didn't make a lot of Westerns.
80s and 90s, they didn't make a lot.
They didn't make a lot of Westerns.
Unforgiven, Open Range.
Yes, they made Westerns. They just weren't the 60s.
That's like mid to late 90s, early to mid to late 90s. Yeah, from 1970 to 1985, 1990. There's in my opinion, a fairly dry spell for.
I feel like they're still making quite a few Westerns in the 70s. Yeah, but I mean, you had Young Guns. I mean, Young Guns 2. There was some good ones. Tombstone.
I say good Western.
Oh, no, sir. You take that back right now.
I'm just kidding.
Dave just got edited out of the entire episode.
Oh, no. We'll settle this Cool Hand Luke wise. So you got to come to Tim's house on Saturday and we'll have a boxing match.
Boxing match on Saturday.
I do have a pair of vintage 1950s boxing gloves we can use. So yeah, it's on.
Bring it.
All right. And with that, thanks for listening to Middle Age Reviews Podcast and our review of Cool Hand Luke. We hope you've enjoyed it because we would hate to have you spend the night in the box. And if you did enjoy the review, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share with your friends. Help us grow this podcast by getting the word out to the masses. Not only are you helping us grow the man community, but you're doing your friends a solid by keeping them from wasting their precious death clock on crappy movies.
Follow us on Facebook, X, Blue Sky, and Instagram. Have a comment or suggestion, then email the show at manreviewpodcast@gmail.com.
Good night, everyone.
When the lights go down, the big screen gets so bright. I got my favorite beverage, snacks, and my chair feels right. Yeah. Color, silent, black and white. You never know what's on that screen tonight, but you're gonna find out on middle-aged movie reviews. Oh, will I like it? Will I like it? 'Cause you know the death clock. No, it's not rewinding. No, will I like it? Will I like it? You know the death clock. No, it's not rewinding.